Marler, let's move to the defensive side of the ball because it's wild to think that Will Muschamp defense averaged giving up 36 points per game, and at one point gave up 159 points over a 3-game stretch. From that defense, you lose guys like Israel McQuamu, J.C. Horn, John Dixon, Jamie Robinson. Basically, your entire secondary depleted. You lose Ernest Jones, which I think at the middle linebacker spot is a very underrated loss. He was which unfortunately, since I'm talking to you, one of his highlights that I'll never forget is getting completely just thrown off of in the South Carolina Alabama.
A lot of things happen in that play.
Yeah, a lot of missed tackles on that play. But again, big piece you lose there. The Gamecocks defensive front, the defensive line, I think that outside of the running back group might be the best position group on this team with guys. Another guy that we really we didn't really get to stop and enjoy his season was J.J. Enagbare, who I think either was tied or led the SEC in sacks. You think of guys. Do we see the most out of Zach Pickens? Do we see the most out of Jordan Birch? Tonka Hemingway was really nice inside. Maybe Boogie Huntley, who comes from Hammond. Maybe Rick Sandage. Do we get the most out of him? There's a lot of guys up on that defensive front, but a lot of questions in the secondary. And again, I know you agree, under Clayton White, Jimmy Lindsey, the D-line coach, you've got Torian Gray, defensive backs coach, who's coming from Florida, and he's really highly regarded. But it's really, I think, this year, because defense is the question mark for me going in this season, no question. I think offensively, like you said, with that combo of Doty and the running backs, and if you can just find a couple of guys that can catch the football and stretch the defense, I think offensively you should be able to score. And I think Beamer's going to make that a real point of emphasis. Defensively is where I'm worried, especially depth-wise, especially in the secondary. I think they said Cam Smith is your leading returning defensive back, which I think he's going to be a quality player, but he has 3 career starts. I mean, that's your most veteran guy. So talk a little bit about the defense again, and I know you and I agree, it's going to come down to that pass rush. And a guy like J.J. Enagbare that, like I said, I think was another guy that just completely got overshadowed in the season where, like you said, we were just trying to get to the end.
Yeah, if you look at the stats, just like I'm trying to think off the top of my head, I'm not sure if they're all accurate and like that, but there's a kid from Kentucky. I don't think it was John Davis. It was a defensive lineman, and there was also you said the kid from SC that was like. They didn't lead the SEC in sacks, but they were second with 7.5 or 6.5 and something like that. It's like these are really good seasons.
Yeah, and
these are really good seasons.
10-game all-conference schedule. Really good stats. Yeah,
and in years like that, you always see the SEC, especially, kind of throw out a freebie an all SEC or or whatever kind of award to players like that and reward effort. And you really didn't see that a lot last year. It seemed like every single week it was Bama, Georgia, Florida, and that was it. It was just, for real. I'm even as a Bama fan, it's like, Jesus, this is obnoxious. But going into this year, you were saying that you think that'll be the strength of the team as a defense or the defense. It effing better be, because if you have 2 5-stars on that unit alone, you would think it would have to be. The stuff with the secondary, I would say it's concerning because replacing a guy like J.C. Horn is really difficult. I mean, J.C. Horn is another guy, honestly, that up until the draft was severely underrated. Right. Yeah. Even his own secondary, because Mukwamo had those 3 interceptions against Georgia and all that kind of stuff. J.C. Horn is the second best defensive back in this draft, and it's not close. He's a top 15 pick in the draft, hands down. The 3 starts doesn't worry me as much because I know those guys got playing time, right? Because both of them opted out with Mukwamo and Horn. So they get to play at least. And the way that defense was, I don't know what the stats were or how they looked or anything like that, but I imagine they at least got a lot of reps because of the way the defense gave up points and stuff like that and the way that football is played now. So the secondary is going to be a struggle for sure. And I don't know if there's a position on the field that you want to be lacking in worse than the defensive back, the way that quarterbacks are and receivers are in this league right now. So that would be a concern, but the best thing to help with a pass cover or a pass defense is a great rush, or not rush defense, is a great
pass rush,
front 7 and pass rush. Yeah. Thank you. I need to get some more IC. But a great pass rush and by all means they should have that. And I think that if you can get both Birch and both Pickens, both those guys to just just create havoc at the same time on the field at once, you're right. The depth is not great. The depth is not great. But if you can just get off the field in 3 downs, you're good. You don't need to have people coming out and in replacement stuff like that. And I think that if they can just light a fire under both their asses, and I think they will with Birch, if what I heard from like Hutcherson at Pro Day.
And you got to think too, you have Eric Kimry on staff who coached Jordan Birch in high school. So I think that definitely, not coaching his position, but he's there to help, he wants the best for him, obviously. So
yeah, and that's also two kids that are like, regardless of how good of a defensive lineman they are from a physicality standpoint, they're physical freaks, right? So they should be able to have their way with a lot of people up front in the SEC this year. Just, it'll be interesting to see what the rest of the back seven looks like. So
yeah, for sure. Defense 101 with Chris Marler.